My guest today is Steve Burns, who is the CEO of Workhorse Group, the company that makes this hybrid, plug-in hybrid pickup truck. I've covered their unveiling at the CES back in January in Vegas. I was really excited about that. Since then, they've also released their N-Gen delivery truck. There are some pilot customers are testing it right here in the Bay Area. They want to stay anonymous for right now, and that's fine. But it is also something that they're doing pretty much this year. So I'm excited to have Steve on to ask him some questions to give us a bit of an update of what's been happening with this truck. And you can reserve it right now. They're going in production by the end of this year. I'm going to talk about it all coming up next.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world, electric.
If you're watching this show live on Patreon, thank you so much for supporting the show. If you are interested in participating and being part of that community, please join us at patreon.com/E4Electric. And of course, if you're watching me on YouTube, please consider subscribing so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, I'm really excited to have Steve on for a while. Originally, we were supposed to have somebody else, but nobody better than the CEO, the head of the company. So we're going to get going right now and talk about the Workhorse W-15, the engine, and electric cars and where we're all going with this pretty much right now. So without further ado, Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Alex.
Well, so last time I met your team back in Vegas at CES, we were mainly talking about the W-15 truck, and I think that's where we got a lot of feedback from the community. So I just wanted to maybe get a quick update and see what's been happening since.
Well, we're pushing through on two main fronts, right? The pickup truck is going to be our most popular vehicle. We've already pre-sold 6,000 of those. So that is the primary initiative. However, based on that same platform, we have a delivery van coming out ahead of it. We have a couple of those vans in San Francisco delivering right now packages. But again, based on the same platform, so you're going to get a little precursor look at the W-15 when the N-Gen comes out.
Well, so let's talk about the N-Gen. Tell us a little bit about it, because I've covered it a little bit. You're already delivering it to some of the sort of pilot customers. Is that correct?
Right. So a pre-production type of thing, but they're street legal, so they are out there as manufacturer vehicles. Essentially the N-Gen, we came to realize that last mile delivery was enough of a category that we should build a truck that's specifically for that purpose. So this isn't necessarily for a plumber or a florist or a telecommunication person. This is dedicated to people that get in and out of the truck, have to do it 150, 200 times a day. So that it's ergonomics, it's low floor, it's steering range, it's tight turning radius. Those are all things geared towards last mile delivery. It also is ready for our horsefly drone on the top, which we think is really going to kind of change the dynamics of package delivery.
Okay, and so the engine truck, give us a little bit of stats on that. Is it all electric? Is it hybrid? What's the range and so forth?
Comes in two versions, all electric or hybrid, or range extended, as we say. Most companies to date are opting for the all electric version. Again, different than the pickup truck, this is for delivery application. So generally 100 miles covers almost all delivery situations. So the 100-mile all electric range is good for most folks, but a few of the rural applications are requesting the hybrid.
Okay, so basically, and so do you know what the average sort of the mileage that delivery trucks end up sort of covering each day?
Yeah, almost universally, again, except for rural, extreme rural, where it's really a lot of space between deliveries. Generally, 65 miles is about as much as a person going door to door in a truck can do in a day.
And this is what I've heard as well. So basically, when you have a 100-mile range on a four-door sedan, that's really unacceptable at this point, right? But when you have a 100-mile range for a delivery truck for local deliveries, that's more than enough.
Right. So we built it to make the price point and everything work such that fleets want to buy this, that economically it's desirable to buy. We built it for a purpose. So it couldn't drive across the country, but it's more than adequate to get their job done every day.
And so let's talk about the, where do you see your customers charging? Is this going to be at delivery sites or the distribution centers? How do you see, and you already have a couple of pilot customers. Talk about the charging infrastructure and the usage.
Yeah, I'd say almost all of the early customers that are going to buy in any type of volume, they are basically charging back at the depot at night. So almost universally, they deliver during the day. They're back at a central location at night. So you put charging stations in those depots, and they get enough for the day.
Okay, so really it's just pretty much the same routine for a regular driver like myself who just, uses an electric car on a day-to-day basis. Okay, now let's go back to the W-15 truck, and because that's where a lot of people are interested in, right? It's really technically, correct me if I'm wrong, the only electric, plug-in electric truck on the market as it's going to be coming out this year, I believe.
Yep, as far as we know.
And so talk a little bit about the specs for the truck and when people can start reserving it, which I believe right now we're going to have the link in the bottom of this, in the description of this video. But when do you think you'll start the deliveries?
Some of the fleets that pre-ordered are going to get it latter part of this year. They're going to get some early units to make sure we haven't missed anything and it covers their needs. And so initial production will start late this year, but the bulk of them will be in 19.
Okay, and so talk a little bit about the specs, if you don't mind. I know it's a plug-in hybrid as well. Talk about the range. Is it with a full load or not a full load, and also about the range extender. From what I understand, that's the same one as the BMW i3 has, correct?
No, that's what's in the engine. So the engine, if you get a range extender in that, again, we know you're stopping all day long and there's a chance for this small generator to catch up. In the pickup truck, we determined that we better make this do anything a conventional pickup truck can do. So it could pick up and drive from New York to California. It could tow a lot of weight. It could haul a lot of weight. And for that purposes, we need a larger generator that could, develop enough electricity instantaneously to carry the vehicle. So that is a 3-cylinder generator, so it's a little bigger than the i3 one.
Okay, and then so if we're just talking about electric range, what is it as far as the production version?
Same as the engine, 100-mile electric.
Okay, and then so tell me what your target audience is with the W-15. Is it just regular Joe, just using this truck to get to work and back and help his friends move once in a while, or is this more of like somebody who works construction or construction companies and so forth?
Well, our DNA is such that we sell to fleets, right? And we sell this on economic justification to a fleet. So if we tell a fleet, you're going to own this truck for 8 years, we think this is the least expensive truck you can own all in, right? So initial purchase price, fuel for 8 years, and maintenance for 8 years. So that's how we generally sell it. To a consumer that might not look at total cost of ownership, it's a different sell. So we really were going to sell the first batch to fleets, but we had a lot of consumer interest. So we started taking pre-orders. Folks can put, I think it's $1,000 down and start to order these things. And we've really been shocked by the number of folks that want it. But what type of folks they are, we haven't really dug down into that. This gets equivalent of about 75 miles per gallon. It goes 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. It's very sleek. It's cool inside, kind of minimalistic, kind of like a Tesla i3 or Tesla's Model 3's dashboard with just one screen. It's similar to that. So it has attraction for a certain number of individuals, and I really wish we knew more about their demographic, but haven't dug into that yet. We're very clear on what type of fleets are buying it, but as far as individuals, we're just letting it go where they want it.
Now, one thing that I kind of like about the way you have everything set up is because, technically you guys kind of a new kid on the block as far as, you're just releasing your cars now, this year, next year. But, a lot of times people say, well, where I'm going to service this car. Now, you guys have an actually interesting deal going on with Ryder. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we realized if we were going to have a national footprint, and again, we were catering more towards fleets when we did this. A lot of these fleets have a national presence, so we had to be able to show to them that you can get this service anywhere nationally. So we signed an exclusive maintenance deal with Ryder Corporation. I think they have like 800 sales and maintenance facilities across the country, and they're servicing all kinds of trucks. So they have decided that they want to get into alternative energy and that they would make the commitment to learn how to service these. So it's a big thing for us. So we now have full confidence that we can tell fleet if it breaks, you're going to be able to get it fixed.
Excellent. And I think they told me 500 locations around the United States, which is
Okay.
more than enough for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so now as you probably just saw the video that I was playing from your B-roll, one of the coolest features of your trucks is a drone. And we've seen, everybody and their uncle, whenever they, release a cool car, they want to have a drone around it for some reason. But you guys actually have a good reason to have a drone on your trucks. Tell us a little bit about the usage and what you guys are actually going to be doing with those.
Yeah, it's not so much for the pickup truck, it's for the engine. So a lot, again, since we built a last mile delivery machine and we're trying to build the most efficient delivery machine really ever conceived by man. And that's the truck and its economics, but also if you can save the driver time, that has huge financial rewards. So if you can get a driver to do 10, 20 extra deliveries per day, because we have a drone that really think of it as a long elastic arm of the driver, and they can pop it over here a mile and a mile over here. It will save, obviously the truck driving that mile, but also the time and energy of the driver. The consumer, we started testing this, and the consumer controls it. So the consumer has an app they download with the I agree that I'll accept drone delivery. They also touch on their handheld or their phone where on their property they want it delivered, and that's right where the horsefly will deliver it. And then when it leaves the truck, as soon as it leaves the top of the truck, they get alerted and they can see it winch it down. They can see the camera from the drone winching it down on their sidewalk or their driveway or wherever they have touched. If they see anything going wrong, they can also stop it or winch it back up to the drone and take it back to the truck.
So who's controlling the actual drone?
The drone is completely autonomous, except if something goes wrong, the driver is within line of sight to recall it or fix it. But essentially, we're putting a lot of the power into the homeowners or the business owners that's getting the delivery. So we really get to pick a lot of the metrics about the delivery on their app.
And from what I understand, this is not just a cool thing to do. It also avoids a lot of deliveries that never happen because of the restricted access. Sometimes, this thing can deliver to balconies and higher floors and so forth. So this is actually not a toy. This is actually going to get more businesses, their packages delivered when normally they wouldn't be able to.
Oh yeah, I mean it could be something like there's a dog, right? It could be something like that, but it's also really just more economical. If you think about you're in a neighborhood and there's 2 deliveries 5 doors down from each other, the driver could give one to a drone and then walk and do the other one conventionally, keeping an eye on both really. But you get a lot of 2-for-1s, and the drone is built to be very safe. And again, it winches the package down from 20 feet high, so the rotors never get down close to anybody. And at 3 cents a mile, a typical diesel truck costs about $1 a mile to operate of that size. This runs on 3 cents a mile of electricity, and there's almost no driver time. So it's the most economical way you can deliver something.
Right, and it's also while the package is being delivered, the driver can start routing preparing for the next delivery and so forth. So it will also save time, from my understanding.
Right, that's
okay.
correct.
So let me ask you just a general question, because it's 2018 last time I checked, and I thought this was going to be the year of electric cars when they go mainstream, and I feel like so far I'm kind of right, but it is a little bit slower than I thought, right? Obviously Tesla Model 3 was kind of supposed to be out, and they're a little bit delayed, and there are many other mainstream manufacturers finally coming out with a decent range and decent cars. Where do you see this is going, and especially in your industry of delivery and sort of kind of a more of a business to business type of model that you guys are doing? Where do you think we're all going with this?
Well, when we looked at it really from the first day we got into it, we said, look, we didn't think it was really going to be a big mainstream business until it was economically favorable, right, to a conventional vehicle. And, I think what you're referring to, Tesla and a lot of the others, are consumer vehicles. And we really thought, look, these heavy delivery vehicles, they get very poor gas mileage. They're decent polluters. right? The stop and go nature of delivery is the hardest thing for an internal combustion and an automatic transmission to do, right? And if you flip that on its head, it's the favorite thing for an electric vehicle with regenerative braking to do. So we just looked at, and by the way, we didn't want to wait for infrastructure. A lot of it's chicken and the egg, right? If there was a charging station on every corner in America, like there is a gas station, I think you'd see a lot more demand for cars. But so we look for where are we not waiting for infrastructure, and where can these be cost effective, actually less expensive to operate than a fossil fuel vehicle, and we found delivery to be that perfect kind of storm. So again, nobody makes a for-purpose delivery vehicle. It's too obscure. It's been too obscure. So if you buy I'll just say a Ford Transit just as a generic van, that's for, again, a plumber, a florist, just a variety of vehicles, and a lot of last mile folks to use it as well. But again, it's not ideal, and it's not made to get in and out of all day long, right? It's just not made for the specifics of last mile. And last mile now, with all the e-commerce, I think it's generally known that everybody expects everything delivered to their houses these days. So package delivery is only going to increase. So let's build a vehicle that is low polluting and very economical to operate. And if it has a drone on the top, it can even be, a lot safer than a conventional vehicle delivery or a person delivery. So we're trying to, again, just focus in on one area that's a very disruptive area. I think it's fair to say that package delivery is going through a great disruption because of the demand, and we had to find a better way to do it. So it was just a matter of saying we're not going consumer. We're going to kind of a meat and potatoes world of where is it needed and where are people begging for it. Not just a nice to have, not a cool thing to have, an actually functional, utilitarian, economic, kind of green machine.
Now, well, talking about deliveries and going into kind of industrial part of the industry, are you guys thinking about maybe a semi truck in the future? Everyone's doing it, and it comes with a free lawsuit from Nikola Motors as well. What do you say?
Well, it's right up our alley. We are trying to, in a rare move, we're trying not to do too much innovation until we get on top of the pickup truck. But given that we're getting pretty close to getting on top of that, it's really been tugging on us that we could do a nice hybrid. We wouldn't do all electric, but we would do a nice hybrid that could get twice the mileage, gas mileage, of a conventional big rig, and have better acceleration and be more pleasant to drive, and naturally be greener. So full electric to Monty on a cross-country big rig, we don't think that's quite there yet, but it's really ideal for a fairly large battery and a smaller gas or diesel engine.
Okay, fair enough. I'm looking forward to one, though. If you guys ever come up with one, I'd be definitely interested in checking it out. So just last question, because a lot of people who are watching, obviously they're consumers. They actually want to get one of those W-15 trucks. A lot of and their dilemma is that for them the range is not too big, right? 100 miles right now is kind of okay. Do you obviously you're saying it's more than enough for deliveries and sort of a local construction businesses, and that looks like your target audience. Do you think, I'm assuming you guys are working on extending the electrical range and a battery technology, and do you see offering a longer range at some time in the future, as probably consumers will demand more and more of?
The thing about a pickup truck that's different than a consumer car is it can change its stripes very readily, right? It weighs X, and if you were to tell a consumer, okay, we've increased our battery pack and you can get 200 miles now. But suddenly they're towing a boat and they've got 3,000 pounds in the bed, right? And they call us angry one night in the middle of the night saying, it only went 100 miles. So we think, given the nature of what people do with pickup trucks and the fact that they can essentially basically double their weight in a heartbeat, we really think that it's a range extended application. So you'll never get stuck. You can always tow whatever you want to tow. You might burn some gasoline on those rare occasions, but I think people are more than happy to do that rather than get stuck. So our premise is let's put a let's put a battery pack in there that will cover you 360 days a week or a year, right? But for those exceptions, for the once in a while where you really got to use a lot of energy, whether you're driving across the country or you're towing something really heavy, let's have a range extender in there. So essentially, that's why we put this is a pickup truck that we're claiming can out tow a Ford 150 or out 0 to 60 a Ford 150. And we're doing it with the little 3-cylinder. And we're doing that because, we run that 3-cylinder very hard for when we need it. But we're mostly carrying it around every day as an insurance package, right? Insurance policy. So we try to keep it as small and light as possible, but we got a turbocharged 3-cylinder in there that can really, when it has to, combine with the battery, produce the energy needed. So we were going to go with, okay, this is a great pickup truck. It's super cool, and it gets 100 miles of range, right? That's the trick. It's got all these nice things, but the it can only go 100 miles. And we thought, let's lose the asterisk, right? Let's say this can do anything a conventional pickup truck can do, only at using a lot less fuel, right? And be a lot quieter when it drives. So that's what we're setting out to do. And that it's got 4 wheels and a cab and a body and a bed. Underneath, it's radically different. It's, for example, it doesn't have leaf springs like every pickup truck, every full-size pickup truck does. It has 4-wheel independent suspension. That's so we can have our 4-wheel electric drive on there. And it has a lot of industry first. We didn't want to have too many first, but really we had to keep it light to accommodate the extra weight of the battery. So we needed carbon fiber body and composite body. So and it turns out that we can do great shapes, cool shapes that are really hard to do with metal. So it's going to be unique looking, and it really, again, it looks like a pickup truck from the outside, but it's completely different inside, underneath.
Okay, fair enough. So if for those of my viewers who haven't reserved the truck but want to, tell us how they can do it.
We've got a link on our website, $1,000 down with a credit card, and you get your place in line. Again, a little bit of caveat that we want to make sure we get some fleet ones out first. We really want to cut our teeth on the fleet, and then we will start fulfilling consumer orders.
Excellent. And by the way, you guys are making them where? Which location?
Indiana.
Okay. All right. So
Indiana.
Well, listen, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the engine is also finally, seeing them out and about here in the San Francisco Bay Area with actual customer logos on them, so they're not anonymous. But listen, thank you so much for coming on my show. I hope to meet you in person next time there is an auto show or at the next CES. But good luck to you until then.
Thanks, Alex.
All right. Well, I'm really excited to see what happens with these guys next. Obviously, the engine is the next thing that I'm looking forward to. Hopefully, following and maybe seeing out and about here in San Francisco, doing another report. And of course, this W-15 truck. If you guys are interested in reserving it, the description of this video has the link to it. Have at it. From you probably pretty much heard, and I think it's fair to say that their main target audience is delivery and construction, and that's why a 100-mile range seems to be just fine for that, and obviously that's how they can penetrate the market. But obviously technology is going to move forward, and the range will get more and more, even especially for the consumers. 100-mile range for the truck like this. Listen, this is the only one on the market by the end of the year. So for those of you guys who are interested, you can put your name down on the reservation list, and you'll be one of the first owners. If not, of course, you can wait and see what happens in the future. But I'm definitely going to keep my eye on this company. I'm excited about them, and definitely I will keep you guys in the loop as well. All right, well, that's it for me today. Looking forward to your comments. They're usually pretty mixed and interesting on subjects like this. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.